name is Benj. I am Haydeelyn Bautista-Obaniana, and I will be presenting my research proposal entitled A Descriptive-Evaluative Study on the Role of Communication in Social Mobilization, the case of the Department of Education's Adopt a School program. Being the agency of the government responsible for managing and regulating the system of basic education in the Philippines, the Department of Education, or DepEd, is mandated to protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality basic education and to make such education accessible to all, as stated in Section 2 of Republic Act 9155.
This is reflected in DepEd's vision and mission, which highlight the importance of family, community, and other stakeholders who are actively engaged and share responsibility for developing lifelong learners.
With the rallying cry that it takes a village to raise a child, DepEd puts a prime on building partnerships with stakeholders who are willing to invest in education.
The Adopt a School program, or ASP, mandated by Republic Act No. 8525, otherwise known as the Adopt a School Act of 1998, refers to a mechanism which allows private entities, such as business organizations, companies, and corporations to provide assistance to a public school in a particular aspect of educational program within an agreed period of time. Meanwhile, considered as the most successful undertaking of the department, under the wing of ASP is the Brigada Eskwela, wherein various members of society convene during the summer vacation to show their support to education and help ensure that public schools are ready for the opening of classes in June. DepEd's ASP, as well as the Brigada Eskwela, has already garnered millions of pesos worth of assistance, including, but not limited to, human resource training, physical facilities construction or repair and maintenance, provision of instructional materials, and innovation of teaching techniques, all of which have significantly improved the plight of public education.
Evaluation of the program, however, has always been focused on the outcomes instead of the process. For instance, the monitoring of Brigada Eskwela is centered on the repair and maintenance works completed, resources generated, and manpower services rendered. The same is true with Adopt a School, wherein the accomplishment reports contain only the list as well as the nature and amount of successful partnerships. Reports on this program do not give attention to the communication variables, which is said to be central in the processes of social mobilization. Without due recourse to the strategic elements behind the success of ASP, the program's sustainability may be put in jeopardy. In view of the foregoing, this study shall seek to find the answer to the following research problem.
How is communication strategically employed in the process of social mobilization under the Department of Education's Adopt a School program? Further, this study aims to achieve the following objectives. Number 1, describe and evaluate how communication is strategically employed in the process of social mobilization under the Department of Education's Adopt a School program. Number 2, determine the communication strategies employed by the different levels of DepEd offices to encourage stakeholders and partners to adopt the school. Number 3, analyze how communication strategies are being utilized for social mobilization in terms of advocacy, community organizing, network and alliance building, and capability building under DepEd's ASP. Number 4, identify the gaps in the strategies and processes used by DepEd in carrying out social mobilization efforts for ASP. Number 5, highlight the importance of communication in the process of social mobilization. And number 6, aid the different levels of DepEd offices in the formulation of communication strategies for effective social mobilization and networking.
The study will primarily serve 3 groups: the Department of Education, the public schools, and the academic community. Given the implementation of various reforms, including the K-12 program, the Department of Education would have to strengthen its mechanism for social mobilization and networking at all levels if it is to establish enduring partnerships that would help attain its goals and objectives targeted for the benefit of the Filipino public school children. Finally, the studies hope to contribute to the existing body of knowledge and fill in the gaps on researches relevant to social mobilization and networking efforts in the local bureaucratic setting. This is given the limited literature and studies related to these initiatives of the education sector. Most of the documented social mobilization efforts are focused on health, environment, and energy sectors. Further, the communication elements are not given importance, and this is what this study hopes to address. This study will be grounded on the theoretical frameworks offered by the gurus of social mobilization, primarily Ling in 1991 and Navarro in 1996, as cited in Velasco in 1999.
In Ling's social mobilization continuum, dubbed as the original social mobilization framework, data or information is relayed through communication or dialogue using different channels to the audiences and partners. The categories of stakeholders, as well as the channels of communication, are said to be only illustrative and may be modified depending on the situation. Also described as a multi-pronged approach, this model highlights the paramount importance of communication in social mobilization. The model that captures the gist of this study is Navarro's framework, wherein communication serves as the hub of social mobilization and the element that ignites and moves the processes of advocacy, community organizing, network and alliance building, and capability building.
Communication facilitates the four major elements of SOCMO, as it positions the strategic message which will be advocated, harnesses the decision-making mechanism of the community, empowers and capacitates the participants to sustain themselves, and links partners, allies, and stakeholders with the community. Operationalizing the function of communication in these four elements of social mobilization is the focus of this research. However, for communication to strategically facilitate these processes, the use of the appropriate communication channels or media is crucial. This is where the media synchronicity theory, or MST, enters the picture.
The brainchild of Dennis and Valasic in 1999 and derived from the earlier media richness theory by Daft and Lengel in 1984, the media synchronicity theory posits that the fit of media capabilities to the communication needs of the task influence the appropriation and use of media, which in turn influence communication performance. One of the main arguments of MST that shall serve as major factor in this study is that certain media capabilities influence the way individuals can transmit and process information and the degree they can work, their level of synchronicity. This is reflected in the theory's fifth proposition, stating that the way in which participants utilize media affects their communication performance. And this is where this study chooses to focus, on media capabilities. Instead of dwelling on the effects, impacts, or outcomes of media use, the goal of this research is to delve into the ways media channels are strategically used in communication for social mobilization processes.
Merging the social mobilization framework by Navarro and the media synchronicity theory by Dennis and Valasic, this research should be guided by the following conceptual framework.
One of the assumptions of this research is that communication is strategically carried out by the different offices and levels of DepEd through utilizing the medium or media deemed capable to achieve the set goals for each of the social mobilization elements. The operative phrase deemed capable is crucial since the study will focus on the communication strategies currently employed by the central, regional, and division offices of DepEd as well as the public schools, to encourage stakeholders and partners to adopt a school. This study shall primarily employ the descriptive research design, which, according to the University of Southern California Libraries, is used to obtain information concerning the current status of the phenomena and to describe what exists with respect to variables or conditions within a situation. Further, descriptive studies are known for producing rich data, which will result to important recommendations, which is also one of the goals of this research. Also, this study shall employ the non-probability sampling, which, according to Yamane, as cited in Librero in 1997, is a sampling method wherein not all members of the population have the probability of being chosen as part of the sample. Specifically, this research will use quota sampling, which is simply a variation of judgment sampling, providing more explicit instructions on what to select. The quota is determined to a certain extent by the characteristics of the population.
In view of the non-probability quota sampling, the researcher will set the criteria in choosing the respondents consist of officials, personnel, school heads, teachers, and other positions at all levels of DepEd with mandates that are directly related to social mobilization. To conform to the objectives of the study, the researcher shall form the exclusive subgroup or key informants from all levels of the Department of Education, the offices and positions under them with direct relevance to social mobilization, and shall form part of the respondents are the following.
From the Central Office, the Office of the Secretary, Undersecretary for Partnerships and External Linkages, and the External Partnerships Service, newly created from the former Adopt a School Program Secretariat, International Cooperation Office, and Special Events Unit. For the regional level, the researcher shall choose the National Capital Region as the representative sample of regional offices and shall select respondents from the Office of the Regional Director and the Education Support Services Division in charge of school health, education facilities, and special programs and services, including the Adopt a School program and Brigada Escuela. For the division office, the researcher shall choose 3 schools division offices from NCR, 1 classified as small, 1 as medium, and 1 as large. Respondents shall come from the Office of the Schools Division Superintendent, School Governance and Operations Division, and Social Mobilization and Networking Unit. Finally, at the school level, the researcher shall choose 3 schools, small, medium, and large, under each of the chosen schools division office. Respondents will include the school principal and the school's Adopt a School program or Brigada Escuela coordinator. The major data gathering instrument or tool to be utilized in this study is the interview schedule, which is said to have produced richer data from the sample population compared to survey questionnaires. Specifically, the study shall employ the key informant interview, defined as qualitative, in-depth interviews with people who know what is going on in the community. Key informant interviews are flexible, allowing more room for a fuller, more expansive discussion. Given the multi-level respondents, it will be helpful for the researcher to meet and conduct the interview face-to-face. The tool shall also contain the major parts, including introduction, key questions, probing questions, closing question, and summary. The data to be collected, compiled, and organized will then be analyzed thematically. Caulfield and Laura, in 2014, claimed that the objective of thematic analysis is to identify, analyze, and report the key themes from the data, and this process begins by an initial coding of the data. The systematic coding shall then be followed by identification of themes.
In the process of determining the communication strategies using the capable medium or media in carrying out advocacy, community organizing, capability building, and network and alliance building, the study hopes to identify the gaps in the social mobilization process in order to make the Adopt a School program viable and sustainable. After all, social mobilization shall be a self-sustaining process. Ultimately, this study shall seek to benefit the Filipino public school learners. Again, this is Haydeelyn Bautista-Obaniana, and thank you for watching.